The horrors of that October 7th terror attack are still being uncovered. Israeli authorities have opened an investigation into reports of sexual violence against women by Hamas. Israeli police say bodies brought in for identification showed trauma consistent with rape and assault. I want to bring in now Ruth Halperin Kaddari. She is an international human rights law professor at Bar-Ilan University in Tel Aviv. She's also a gender crimes expert. Ruth, thanks so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. Unfortunately, sexual violence against women has been used as a weapon of war in conflicts over the years. How are you talking about it being used here by Hamas?
We have evidence that the sexual assaults, the use of rape and sexual violence as a weapon of war was, in fact, a premeditated and preconceived part of the plan of Hamas during the October 7th massacre. We have eyewitness accounts of survivors who saw rape, one very specific, detailed, graphic details of gang rape, which included mutilation of the woman who was assaulted. We have accounts of first responders who found the bodies, and we have to bear in mind that the vast majority of those who were assaulted were tragically murdered immediately after that. So there are very few survivors.
What's being done to ensure that the evidence that you're talking about, the reports that you have, the firsthand accounts that you have of the sexual violence that occurred during this horrific larger attack aren't ignored?
I was at the UN in Geneva 2 weeks ago, meeting with high-level officials, including with the High Commissioner on Human Rights. I meet ambassadors, other policymakers, and the aim is to ensure that the silence is broken, that there is no more silence about this, that Hamas is recognized as it is a terror organization that makes use of the most horrific crime of gender-based violence during armed conflicts, and it should be eradicated.
Ruth, why do you think, I can hear the frustration, why do you, and I know many people are, because, we're now weeks and weeks, well over a month out of this attack, and you say just last week, this one organization at the UN, shortly before that, the head of the UN, why do you think it's taken this long for people to admit that it happened when we have, firsthand accounts and things of that nature?
We have to recall that these accounts took some time to emerge. We first had videos surfing around by Hamas on the very day, because part of their attack was actually coming equipped with body cameras in order to broadcast the atrocities that they committed in real time. That was part of the terror. But then they immediately afterwards erased it and engaged in a most sinister campaign of denial, which unfortunately managed to convince many people and many organizations whom I'm afraid already held a preconceived bias against Israel.
You said in a recent interview that you feel betrayed by some of these women's rights organizations. Is that because they either haven't come out yet and talked about it, or it took them too long? Why did you say you feel betrayed by them?
Some hadn't come out until now. Some, unfortunately, and now I refer to women's rights organizations and some of their leaders, in fact, sized with Hamas and beyond my comprehension, actually referred to these atrocities, including sexual violence and gender-based assaults, framed them as a form of resistance, thus, in fact, legitimizing using rape as part of an armed conflict, which goes against everything that human rights stand for, international law stand for, and feminism stand for.
Ruth Halperin Kaddari, thank you so much for the time. Difficult subject to talk about, but very important. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.